So commodity
which is a whole
stories,
other subject that we can get into.
Well, it's commodity stories
yes.
are a source of tremendous stability for an economy.
Right.
They bring in strong flows of foreign reserves.
Right.
They keep their currency stable. So the macroeconomic situation and increasingly the political situation in Brazil is a true success story. And so I think that is probably the biggest buy of the decade.
Yeah.
China is already a much more emerged and developed economy. But it is still an environment where there's significant growth. So if we're going to talk about investing, let's talk about it in markets.
And I would say not necessarily just shares, but markets.
Yes, and so let's begin with Brazil. My vision of investing is that you go with the winners and that you go with the most stable, conservative sectors.
Right.
In other words, the sectors that aren't going anywhere.
Right.
And as the tide of an expanding economy rises, you want to be in the sectors and you want to be in the leading companies in those sectors that are
right. So
naturally going to rise.
you're not really trying to go into Brazil, an emerged market, and then speculate inside that market. You want to go with the already winners.
Absolutely, which is why I think it's fundamentally a relatively conservative investment vision.
Yeah.
Ironically, I think that Brazil and China are more conservative markets for an investor than in the United States.
Yeah, that's very ironic, but I absolutely understand that. Yeah. So let's talk about a Brazilian stock.
Well, let's talk about sectors. Probably the banking sector, which we call that financials, is the lifeblood, it's the nervous system of any economy.
Right.
And in Brazil, we're going to see a rapidly expanding loan portfolio.
Credit market.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, a consumer credit market.
Right.
They are buying, and there is an emerging middle class that is very, very big, and they're getting access to credit. And so there are two leading commercial banks, and there's one that's really the King Kong bank in the financial sector that is incredibly well positioned to catch this rising tide.
Right. And if an economy goes from 2 trillion to 10 trillion, the banking is going to be at the center of that.
It's a big part of it. And Banco Itaú Unibanco is the commercial banking
Banco
giant.
Itaú.
That's correct.
Right.
The New York Stock Exchange ticker is ITUB.
ITUB.
That, of course, is, I think, probably the safest bet for long-term growth. It's considered a growth stock, but it's a fundamentally conservative investment because of the nature of the institution.
So price today is approximately?
Today, it's just as cheap as could be. It's about $17, and during the crisis, we saw it drop as low as almost $7.
Right.
Its 52-week high has been upwards in the high 20s. So I tell investors, look, this is a balance sheet.
Right.
This is a company with incredible financial statements, and it's a leader in a rising tide in a big, big emerging and fast-growing economy. Don't worry about that market price. It's a signal to buy. So I happen to be encouraging people to pick up shares now of Banco Itaú. Most clients are somewhere above that price in their average price per share.
So now is a buy time.
Good time
You're
to
going to lower the average price per share. So if you bought at 20 and it goes to 16, instead of going, oh, my portfolio is down, you say, I get to lower my average share price from 20 to 18 if you double your position at 16.
Absolutely. And think of wealth creation as building that position.
Because when that stock is at 40, having split twice, your portfolio, that's when you start looking at your long-term returns and saying, wow, I'm glad I lowered that average share price over the past 5 years.
Exactly. And it's
and is that an accurate place where we could expect to see that stock in 5 years?
And you know, you have to have a long-term vision, though.
Right.
You have to. Investing means investing for years.
Right.
And I just don't allow clients to think of investing as anything shorter than 3 years. It's better to really have a decade-long vision.
Right.
Because these are companies that are not going to not be winning or growing at any
they've
point
already
in the next
won.
decade. Exactly.
They've already won in the market, so it's not like we're going out and picking a tech stock that has a new technology that maybe is going to transform the world. So
they're part of the very infrastructure of a growing economy.
Right. Okay. And so let's do a few more.
Okay.
But let's do it on the next show. So thanks, Ben, for joining me on The Mind of Money.
Thank you.
And we will see you next time on The Mind of Money.